Hey there, Zip Disk here again. This time responding to KalelPrime yet again, but this time it's for his Talk Transformers Episode 2 question, in which he asked whether we preferred, or rather to compare, old school and new school, to see what our thoughts on both were. As for me, I was born in 1975. I was 9 when Transformers started in the US. I don't remember it until 1985, as I stated before, but I really got into it. I remember pulling weeds in my mom's garden to get enough money to buy a Perceptor. Man, I loved that figure. Still wish I had one to this day. But as far as which I prefer, I would actually have to say that I fell out of Transformers after Generation 1 faded in the US. I was getting older. It wasn't cool to collect toys. It was more... We were getting more into girls and sports and whatnot, and you just left your toys behind. And I really regret that now. Yeah, I wouldn't have been popular when I was a kid if I was 14 and still playing with toys. But man, I miss that stuff. I really wish I had it with me today. I guess that's part of why I'm collecting now, is to regain bits of my childhood that I left behind. As for the show, I do remember that I loved G1 Transformers, the cartoon. It was fascinating to me. The whole concept of giant robots that talked and were sentient and transformed into cars and vehicles was amazing to me, and one of the reasons I'm into giant robots in anime now. And unlike the anime giant robots, which for the most part are piloted vehicles with humans in them, the Transformers are sentient beings in and of themselves, in and apart from the fact that they're robots, which is amazing. They're not piloted, which is, I think, the amazing thing they did when they took the Diaclone figures, which had pilot figures, and brought them over as the Transformers, and made them sentient in and of themselves and got rid of the Diaclone drivers. I think that's really what made the franchise and makes it stand out even to this day from other giant robot series. That said, yes, G1's plotting was clunky. It seemed to be the same old almost every week, with the exception of big event episodes like Ultimate Doom or some of the other 2 or 3-parters, Five Faces of Darkness. But that was more of a direct sequel to the movie, which, by the way, I still think the original Transformers movie from 1986 is one of the best animated representations of Transformers ever. The animation was superb. The voice acting was great. Yeah, it was kind of clunky and they introduced concepts that they'd never talked about before, but I'm okay with retcons like that when you're dealing with a show. And it actually made the episodes after it much more interesting. Season 3, for all of its crap animation and really bad occasional episodes, had some of the best stuff in it. Everyone goes on Call of the Primitives. I gotta say, I love that episode. The animation is so good, but so off-model. And it was nice to see all the animal formers. You could almost look at Call of the Primitives as sort of a test run for maybe Beast Wars, or maybe they took some inspiration from that for Beast Wars. Now, I was out of Transformers before Beast Wars came along. And when Beast Wars came along, I had a good friend of mine who was really into it. He was playing on a Transformers online game, one of those text-based mush things. I still go on those every now and then, but I'm just not really into that scene as much as I used to be. But he played, he got me back into Transformers for a little while with Beast Wars, just so we could have something to talk about. And I didn't really get into it because I didn't understand what was going on, and I didn't watch it consistently from episode to episode to episode to pick up the greater story arc. So I really wasn't into it then. And I kind of fell out of Transformers for a long time after that, until about 2007. And I will say I saw the movie in theaters, but that's not what brought me back. Because frankly, I was not thrilled with the toy line for Transformers the movie, the 2007 movie, the first toy line. The figures just didn't look right to me, and they looked just plain and kind of odd, and I didn't like the aesthetic. That and the Megatron, I really think movie Megatron looked like crap, especially that toy. And I'm such a huge Decepticon fan, I couldn't stand them looking bad. Now, Barricade, I bought a Barricade, but only later, when the premium one came out. What really got me back into Transformers was animated. A friend of mine was really seriously into it. Again, I'm getting back into this stuff because of friends. But the plotting, the humor, the consistency, the amazing voice acting, the throwbacks to G1, the fan nods, everything about animated makes it a great show. It takes a while. It took me a while to get used to the animation style, but then I'd been watching the Teen Titans cartoon, so it wasn't quite as bad since it has a similar art aesthetic. Now, I really do enjoy animated. I think it is probably the best cartoon we've gotten in the US. As for old school stuff, I have to say that I really do prefer the Japanese G1 series after Season 3. I was never a huge fan of the Nebulans. I thought it was a dumb idea myself because it took away from the whole concept of pilotless robots and seemed to make it robots with people guiding them again. And that killed some of the aesthetic for me, which is why I prefer, even though it is a slog to get through and some of the episodes are so dumb, I prefer the Japanese Headmasters as Season 4 than the Rebirth. Plus, I love Master Force. Master Force is brilliantly plotted, even though it does violate my idea of Transformers. I don't know why, but I like Master Force. And of course there's Victory. Victory has some of my favorite characters. There's Death Zaris, there's Leo Kaiser, there's Star Saber. God Jinrai comes back and becomes Leo. Suddenly I go blank. Becomes Victory Leo. I like that. And it even has characters like Minerva and Wheeljack, who supposedly died in the movie, but we'll forgive him for that. There's fan reasons why he could come back. And Perceptor. I love those characters. And here they are, coming back in a season way after I ever expected to see him again. And I gotta give the Japanese credit for that. They kept Transformers going for longer. Of course, Europe kept it going even longer into the G2, and so there actually hasn't been a time since I've been 9 that there weren't Transformers. So you could say they're a massive part of my childhood. So I'm always going to have an attachment to G1. But the modern stuff's really good. Well, aside from bits of the Unicron trilogy, I can't totally agree with Exaggerated Elegy when he talked about how bad Cybertron was. I'll take Cybertron over Energon. Now, Superlink's a different story. I like the subtitle. I've got a fan sub of Superlink that I'm watching and I'm quite enjoying. But I don't like things they changed between Superlink and Energon. I'll explain that in another video. Probably go into the whole Megatron Galvatron change in every single series. Anyway, this has been Zip Disc, giving you my take on Talk Transformers Episode 2. And I hope it helped out a bit. Have a great day. Bye.